Welcome to Fireside Yankees. My name is Alex, my co-host here, Nick Nielsen. And today, what a good day. It's a great day to talk about Marp. Matt Carpenter. Dude's been absolutely on fire. Dude's been electric. Unbelievable. He is the mustache man. The ball just flows in the wind like his mustache just generated the power to get it there. It's unbelievable on stash. Unbelievable lefty bat. Dude doesn't even wear gloves. I feel like for an MLB player not to wear gloves is pretty badass these days. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely badass. Everything about Matt Carpenter just screams badass. I mean, I wouldn't let him take my daughter out, that's for sure. But, this is a player who the Yankees scooped up off of his couch, right? Went on a cross-country trip last year to fix his swing. And so far, it seems like he did fix his swing, man. I mean, he is no joke coming in and helping. Even played the outfield a couple days ago. Lost to Cleveland. Like, they're just throwing him into any position. Play some first base, play some hot corner. What is your impression of Matt Carpenter up to this point? We'll talk about his numbers, what he's doing with runners in scoring position, how electric he's been for this team in terms of just being a good slugger and just getting on base. But what is your impression of him, and why do you think he's been so valuable to this team?
I mean, it's crazy because, again, you said it. They picked him up off his couch. Like, Matt Carpenter was cut by the Rangers because he didn't want to play in the minor leagues and they wouldn't call him up. Like, he torched the ball for a couple weeks in the minor leagues and he's like, hello, you guys clearly need some depth. And they're like, nah, sorry. And he's like, all right, cut me. I don't want to do this anymore. So Matt, he was probably just kind of expecting to maybe find a home with some club that's struggling, was like, hey, maybe you can fit in. Maybe Oakland would have taken a flyer. But no, the Yankees call, and he says he's willing to do everything and anything that they need. I love that quote that he said at the very beginning when the Yankees got him, where he's like, if they need me to pack bags or unload equipment or whatever, I'll do it. I don't really care. I'm just happy to be part of this team. And it seems like not only is he a part of this team, he's like an integral part of this team. Like, his role in the clubhouse and locker room apparently has like been huge. I don't know if you saw this piece about how there are like 10 Yankees position players that had a behind closed doors meeting. And it really like sparked morale and a personal like camaraderie between them. And I want to say Marp was one of those players. So it's like you got this group of guys now that's all feeding off of each other and performing like you've never seen them perform. Matt Carpenter, the last 3 seasons, 1920 and 2021, was not very good at baseball. He was kind of struggling to hit the ball. You could tell that the speeds were getting the best of him. He wasn't nearly as quick with his hands as he used to be. All sorts of things were kind of pointing toward, is this the end of the line for one of baseball's better hot corner guys for the better part of a decade? But nope, Yankees just got more out of him. It's remarkable. Like, there's no words to describe how good Marp has been, especially given the expectations for him. Like, again, he was not expected to be a contributor on the Yankees, and here he is.
Yeah, he's kind of skipped over contributor and went toward impact player, right? Like, he's been very good for this team. And over the course of, let's see here, 20 games and 52 plate appearances, he already is hitting 286 with a 41% on base rate and 881 slugging percentage. That is absurd. This isn't really that relevant because of the sample size, but a 252 WRC plus, look, 20 games of sample size isn't much, but it's still freaking insane. And He's hit 8 homers, 8 home runs in 52 plate appearances. To give you a little bit of perspective, Joey Gallo's only hit 9 home runs this season, and he's had, 224 plate appearances. So in about 5 times fewer, like a fifth is the best way to say that, a fifth of the reps plate appearances, Matt Carpenter has almost equaled his home run total. And he's also walking at 15.4%. He's only striking out at 27%. You look at Gallo striking out at almost 40% here. So it's pretty impressive to see what he's doing offensively. He's rejuvenated his bat. And here's where things get really interesting. With runners in scoring position, I'll ask you this, Nick. Give me your best guess. What do you think Matt Carpenter is hitting with runners in scoring position right now?
Well, I don't want to be the ruiner of good news. I unfortunately looked, but I'm gonna say and humor the people. Let's see, 310, 320 with RISP,
which would be like amazing, by the way. Mm-hmm. Like for most players, we'd be like, yo, like that's fantastic. Elite. That's elite. Matt Carpenter's hitting 455. That's just stupendous, right? He has 11 at bats, 5 hits.
Small sample size, sure.
3. But look at it. Look, okay. It would be different, and let me put this out there. It would be different if he had, yes, it's a small sample size, but his numbers in 11 at bats with runners in scoring position are wild. Absolutely wild. He has almost more RBIs than at bats, which is stupid,
He's
right?
got twice
11 at
the
bats.
2-to-1
It's
walk rate as well, to walk to
unreal.
strikeout
Two to
rate.
one, which is crazy, bro. Absolutely insane. 11 at bats, 5 hits, 3 homers, 10 RBIs, 6 walks, and 3 strikeouts, like you mentioned before. So 455. He has a 65% on base rate with runners in scoring position with the bases
406
empty.
WRC
Yeah.
plus. Dear God.
Something, what is happening with this guy where he's only hitting 174 with the bases empty? Why is he so good with runners in
He
scoring
wants
position?
the moment. He's built for the moment. Everyone on this team's built for the moment except for like Joey Gallo and Aaron Hicks, honestly.
Right.
Aaron Hicks with runners in scoring position is basically a sack of potatoes at the plate. I could probably put the ball in play like he could. But sometimes he comes through. I got to give him credit, like the one time. Um, but with Carpenter, it's like, damn, this guy is, again, we use him as pinch hitter now in close games, and he always puts together good at bats. Like, I think this season he's had a majority of his plate appearances, go to full counts, go to 2-2 counts. And it's like, well, okay, you struck out on a high fastball or a disgusting slider. Like, we get it. You're 36. Like, that's the thing people have to remember. This isn't some young guy that the Yankees just found and called up. Everyone, this is, again, Matt Carpenter. Like, this is a 36-year-old Matt Carpenter that has been DFA'd by 2 organizations and was cut because they didn't believe he had what it takes anymore. And now he's got his OPS on the season. What his OPS on the season's like 1,000, isn't it? Am I crazy? No, it's like, wait, I'm making sure I'm not. That's 1293. What? Like, this guy is absolutely insane. And the fact that they put him in right field, I know it was for an inning, so it like really doesn't matter, and they were losing. But the fact that they put him in right field does show me 2 things. 1, they're wanting to get Carpenter in the lineup any way possible. 2, they want to see if Carpenter can actually play defense in the outfield. I know it's crazy, but hey, if you can have Yordan Alvarez out there, Nick Castellanos, JD Martinez out there, then maybe you can have Matt Carpenter out there for half a season. And then 3, they're clearly moving on from Gallo. Maybe they're just done with him. Like, the fact that they're putting Matt Carpenter in the outfield now is basically saying, hey, yeah, there's our lefty bat. So we want to see if he can play your position too. So the end of the road, the end of the line, the end of the road is near for Gallo. It is nigh.
It is nigh. He is definitely on his way out. His reps have been just consistently been going down and down and down. When you
I feel
like
bad for him at some point. Like, it's like he's like everything he's
he's
trying
got
to do.
caught
He just
out.
like some of the time I do think he gets unfortunately unlucky. Like, he's had a lot of like fly balls that are foul balls, or sorry, pull home runs that are foul balls. Like, Rizzo had a lot of them last year. This year, Gallo's had a lot. And then he's also had like 4 or 5 that I can recall at least in the past month where he just hits the ball really well, but it's right into the shift. So next year, fortunately for Gallo, he will be a much better baseball player because the shift will be gone. But unfortunately, that doesn't help you when you can't put the ball in play. And the fact is that when he's striking out 2/5 of the time, 40% of the time, that's really, really bad.
Yeah, so you want to hear something interesting about Matt Carpenter?
Yeah.
He's hitting better against lefties than he is against righties. He has a
I know.
308 average
It's
with a
nuts.
471 on base percentage and he's in 1077 slugging. I mean, I don't understand it. Like, lefties against lefties is supposed to be like a big weakness. Like, you're not supposed to be like Rizzo maybe is also an exception. Like,
Yeah.
against lefties, it's tough. You know what I mean? Like, you usually the pitchers have the advantage in that case. But Carpenter's killing it against lefties and against righties, he's still hitting 276. He's doing quite well, man. It's pretty insane to see how, I mean, he has 3 homers against lefties, and he just looks like he's swinging a sledgehammer up there.
Yeah, it's
You
like
know,
it's such a smooth swing.
it is. He
It's
just
so weird because
launches it.
he like does have kind of that uppercut approach to it, but at the same time, he knows how to make good contact and barrel the baseball. This season, Matt Carpenter's barrel percentage, for reference, his career high in 2018 was 13.7%. Granted, this is only since 2015 with the StatCast era. This season, his barrel percentage is 24.1%. He's barreling a quarter of the baseballs. Like 13.5 per plate appearance. Like, he's just barreling everything. Like, and now it's like you haven't seen that from him in the past couple of years, especially. And he's just connecting, using the short porch really, really well. He's mashing the baseball at home. Like at Yankee Stadium, the dude is torching the baseball. But it's crazy as well because of the fact that, like you said, he's so much better against against lefties than he is righties. And granted, it's a small sample size on the season, so it may not be maintained over the rest of the year. But the fact that you can put him out there against a lefty on the mound and know he's still going to put together good at bats, even though he's a lefty, is kind of a detriment to the other team. Because if you're the Yankees, you can literally have Matt Carpenter bat sixth, bat fifth, and have all righties in the lineup around him, and not like worry and be like, oh yeah, we have a lefty in there, so that's an automatic out, like a lot of teams do. That's why we literally have been sitting Gallo before he started really slumping over the month of June against lefties. Was it's like, all right, we're not going to have a lefty out there against a lefty, even if he walks a lot. Like Carpenter's not just walking a ton, like you said, 15% of the time, which is nuts. He's striking out less than he had in the past 4 years, 26% of the time. And he's barreling more than he has in his entire career. So it's like, just keep using him while he's hot at this point. If we get to September and we have expanded rosters and Carpenter is kind of showing signs of fatigue and is struggling a little bit, then okay, just don't have him on the postseason roster. We've seen that in years past. Voit didn't make the postseason roster last year. Like, it's what happens sometimes. But if he can keep like performing, don't sit him. Give him more at bats. That's the thing. That's why I like seeing him in right field for an inning. It's like, okay, maybe Marp can play right field. Maybe left field. I don't know. Just toss him out there, see what happens. If a ball gets hit to him and he just misses it completely, pull him. But at the same time, if he's, able to catch fly balls, hit his cutoff man, know which base to throw to, and take proper routes and reads on the baseball, great. That means we get his bat in the lineup 80% more. Like, the problem with Carp now is that he doesn't really have a defensive position right now. Like, where would you play him?
I don't know, man. It's tough decision because I feel like you already have DJ as that utility piece,
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly
And
sure if
Marwin as the utility piece.
and he's a good defender and he's been hitting well lately. I mean, the surge of Marwin ever since you made that video, he's been shutting us up, man.
I don't know, dude. It's literally
it's
as
a
soon as
good
I said
thing.
take him
It's
to
a
the
good thing.
forest, Marwin has gone on another level. Like, we did that video a
It's
month
a good
ago,
thing.
and his month of June was insane.
Unreal.
Like,
So
and IKF's also losing at bats to Marwin, which is what I'm kind of happy about. Like, no disrespect to IKF, but Marwin deserves to be playing more than him.
right.
So if Marwin takes his at bats more, then that means we have that kind of that util spot that Marwin was occupying that Carpenter can maybe slide into, where we see him play the corner outfield and second base and third base. Granted, I don't know if we will, but at the same time, if the team's trying it already and they're thinking about it, that means that they want him in the lineup as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely, and if we're being honest here, Matt Carpenter is likely going to be left out of the postseason lineup.
Yeah.
Mainly because I think they're going to make a move at the deadline to bring in a player who's going to be able to contribute defensively, and he's going to replace, like, the only reason Matt Carpenter is getting so much action right now is because Joey Gallo isn't hitting.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And they need that lefty,
and they figured Hicks is literally a left field guy now. Like, they're kind of done with the Hicks in center time. Like, he's now in left field primarily, and Gallo's moved over to right, but they also have Stanton playing a lot of right field. So it's like, the thing that the team needs to do is that they need to get rid of Gallo, and they need to have an outfielder that can play outfield every day, basically. Get Ian Happ, get Tommy Pham, get Brian Reynolds, Ramon Laureano. There's Andrew Benintendi still. There's a lot of good names out there for the Yankees to pursue. I just don't want to give up too much to get someone like Benintendi, where they're like, I don't know if you saw this. Someone came out and said, if the Royals say, give us Peraza and like Schmidt or something, I think it was Schmidt or whatever, for Benintendi, I'm saying yes. And I'm like, what? Are you stupid? I'm saying, hell no. What? Why would you give up your top five prospect in the club and a top 50 prospect in the league for a half year of Benintendi? But that's beside the fact. But yeah, there are options, and the Yankees are moving on from Gallo. They have to move on from Gallo. But the question is do they move on from him by DFAing him and just giving someone like Carpenter more at bats and putting Marwin in the outfield more? Or do they try to look to trade him to someone that's willing to take a flyer or have a multi-team trade or use him as an extra piece? Gallo's got to go. That's the main thing with Gallo. And Carpenter getting more at bats is really kind of contingent on when that happens and how that happens. Because if Gallo's gone, there's the lefty bat that walks a lot and sees a lot of pitches and is taking at bats from Carpenter away.
I think that Gallo is going to be traded, probably in a package deal, but to a team that needs a right fielder, or a left fielder. Honestly, like what I would say is, I think that his biggest qualm is that he can't handle being a Yankee.
Yeah,
I don't think he psychologically has the confidence and the ability to, like, look, when you're playing for freaking Texas or when you're playing for freaking Oakland, the fans barely even show up to some of these games.
is that a
You know what
Sunny
I mean?
Gray dig? Is that because I'm wearing my "It's Always Sunny in New York" shirt? Screw you.
No, no. But I'm telling you, man, when you go to these games and you don't see anyone in the stands, there's no pressure.
Yeah,
When you go to Yankees games and every single game, they're in the stands, they're booing the shit out of you, and your confidence is at an all-time low, and it just keeps out, and every strikeout gets worse and worse and worse, and it doesn't turn. It's tough. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Some guys have the mental capacity to get out of it. Gallo looks so defeated. His head is hanging low. He looks miserable. You know
Some
what I mean?
players are
And
cut
that's
from a different
okay.
cloth.
It's okay. Like, look, Gallo is a good player. He's just not good for the Yankees.
Yeah.
And I think that a
Same with
lot of
Sonny Gray. It's gonna be the same thing, dude.
thing.
He's
A
gonna go
lot
to
of
San
players have
Diego
this
and hit.
reality.
He's gonna go to San Diego in the second half of the season. Well, OPS like 1,000 with the Padres. Just
100%
watch.
right. This is
Watch.
exactly what's going to happen. And a lot of people know this, and this is why a lot of people think that Gallo still has value, because people know Yankees aren't an easy place to play. You put him on a team that has playoff aspirations. They need a right fielder, a lefty who can hit home runs. He's going to do well there. He's going to feel like it's a fresh start. He's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Problem is, I just don't know what team it's going to be. It has to be the right situation. So it'll be interesting, but that's
It will
why
be
Matt
very
Carpenter
interesting.
is getting these reps now. I don't think that he's going to be getting them once he's gone. I think that it'll decline a little bit. They're going to trade for somebody to replace him.
Yeah. No,
And
that's the thing. Like at the end of the
that's the thing.
day, with Carpenter, I want to see him play more. That's why I kind of had to talk about Gallo for a little bit. And I thought we should talk about him a little bit, because Carpenter is basically what they're trying to do now, is just have him play the role Gallo does. Have him play a corner outfield spot and DH. Like that's if they toss him to right field, it's either A, they were just literally so done with Gallo and they had already taken Stanton out that they're like, screw it, we're just tossing Carpenter in there, we lost. Or B, it's which I think is the more likely, it's maybe Matt Carpenter can play the outfield for 2 months
I
as a
wouldn't. I
backup
wouldn't
fifth
trust it.
outfielder. Like,
He's
I'm
too
not saying I
slow.
trust it, but no, he's definitely too slow. But I'm saying, like, the fact that the Yankees are doing it shows, one, that they want Carpenter and they want to try to get him in the lineup, and that they don't trust Gallo. Like, these two,
That's true.
when Carpenter plays more, Gallo plays less. Donaldson plays less. But Donaldson also, I think, deserves to play more because, one, the past 5 or 6 games, he's hit 3 doubles and
He
he's
looks
hit
better.
had a couple of good at bats, and he still is in the top 20 in baseball for pitches seen per plate appearance. He's got 4.1 pitches per plate appearance. So he's seeing pitches. He's just not hitting the ball hard. Whereas with Gallo, he's not doing anything. So if it's the choice between those two guys that you have to get Carpenter in the lineup over, you choose Gallo 100%, which is why I'm like, right field Carpenter maybe makes sense.
I think they're going to make it. I think, like, with the All-Star break coming up, they're just going to roll with it now, and then right before the trade deadline, they're gonna bang a couple trades out.
Yeah.
And Gallo will probably be included. I'm interested to see if they go for an outfielder.
Give us Hap, dude.
I love Hap. Santander. I don't know.
Santander would be. I'd love to get Santander. The problem is, I just don't know if Baltimore would want to move their guy to the Yankees. Like, that's the only thing.
the big question. That's the big question. Somebody
he's so
said,
good. He sees more pitches per at bat than Judge this year.
Yeah, and he's a switch hitter too. He would crank in the Yankee Stadium, and he was a finalist for the Gold Glove last year. So
he's a really solid defensive player. Like Santander, I love that. I saw that episode you did with Ryan the other day. It was a really, really good episode. Everyone make sure to go check that shit out.
Yeah.
But it's a great idea. And especially now because the Royals are good, Orioles are kind of good. Like, if you take away the Orioles playing teams in the AL East, they're like 6 games, 7 games over 500. So maybe they're thinking, hey, Santander is a piece that we can move and get even more prospects, and in the next 2 years we'll be winning this shit. Or maybe they're thinking Santander is a guy we're going to build around with Adley, with Mancini, with our pitching, with Gunnar Henderson. Like,
at some point.
That's the thing. Like, Santander is playing so well that he's going to be starting to ask for 7, 8, 9 million going forward here a year. And the Yankees, the next year and a half, could afford to pay that. I think Santander falls into the exact same category as Ian Happ in terms of a player, where it's like great switch-handed bat.
Though.
Yeah, he might. The Yankees need to do something. That's the point here. Like, the fact that I'm kind of getting excited about having Carpenter in the outfield shows how dire the Yankees outfield situation is and how desperately they need an outfielder. I agree with you. Carpenter should not see the light in the outfield. But if it means him playing more and he plays well out there, like if he plays Andahar level of defense that we saw Andahar play when he got his moments this season in the outfield, like, are you shitting me? That's like a 17 WAR player with how good he's hitting the baseball. He's got more F WAR this year than Donaldson does. And he's had 52 at-bats or 52 plate appearances. Like, what? Carpenter's on one. He's on a tear. This is the stretch of stretches, dude. If he keeps hitting like this in the next 2 weeks, let's say he just, plays really well for the next 2 weeks going into the All-Star break even, and he comes out of the All-Star break like with 12 home runs going into it, put Carp in the home run derby.
I would love to see that. He would just be slugging him with that.
And everyone's saying no to it. Vlad's saying no. Judge said, nah, screw that. Even I think Pete Alonso said he's not doing it. So, like, you ask Mark, he'll be like, hell yeah.
Let's see Tyler Wade in the home run derby.
Dude, T. Dizzle got DFA'd. Bring him back, baby.
I know. I wrote about that this morning. I was like, he's fast.
I was about to say, fast. Also, I love Tyler Wade, but if we bring him back, that'd be not a great move. Because he's even worse than IKF, and that's...
Yeah, I said if you bring him back, you're immediately putting him on AAA until you need him.
Yeah, or you're saying, Tyler, you're going to be our late inning steals guy. But the problem is that the Yankees
that's also what I said.
Don't really need that anymore this year. Because the Yankees already are kind of running bases more aggressively.
Yeah.
And they're not really needing to play small ball to get by. Last year, they had to steal a lot. They had to confuse the pitcher. Tyler Wade had like 20 steals, and he was only used as a pinch runner. And the Yankees won a lot of those games because he'd steal second and someone would hit a single. This year, the team's situational hitting and their ability to hit home runs with guys on has been better than last year tenfold. So Tyler Wade's value is kind of mitigated by the fact that we're watching IKF literally do what Tyler Wade did, except not as shinily because he's not as fast.
Yeah,
he's just Tyler Wade's best season, what he's doing. He's like a 690 OPS guy. And Tyler Wade's career best season was like a 680 OPS.
Well, the thing is, Wade played a lot of second base, and now you have Glaber there, and he's hitting homers. So it's like,
and we saw it happen when Glaber played shortstop for like an inning.
Yeah, right.
Immediately double clutched and sailed the ball. It's like, okay, when you play second base, you have the third most defensive runs saved at second base in baseball. I don't know how Jonathan Scope has like 18, but he's insane with it this year. But then when you put him at shortstop, it's like, what is happening? I've never seen someone just flip a switch with Gleyber Torres, being able to play elite second base defense and then play such shoddy shortstop defense. He looks like Ramiro Pena at shortstop.
Yeah, I think it's just leftover fear. But, guys, I'd love to hear your opinions below on Matt Carpenter, what you think his role is going to be moving forward, if you think that his reps will decrease when the Yankees ultimately probably get rid of Joey Gallo, and if you think he'll be a postseason roster guy. Maybe he will be. Maybe he will be a guy that comes in and helps defensively at some spots. But also injuries always pop up at some point, so knock on wood there. You might need him.
His depth is huge, baby.
It is.
Huge, huge depth, huge depth.
Oh, God, please don't do that. But guys, I'd love to hear your perspectives below in the YouTube comments. As always, my friends, make sure to like and subscribe. Close to 1,000 subs. Would appreciate the support and love as always. We'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.